Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Israel recovers bodies of 6 hostages, including a US citizen in Gaza, amid Israel and Hamas agreeing on 3-day humanitarian pauses beginning today. Russia-Ukraine conflict intensifies. Ukrainian drones target refinery, power plants in Moscow. Meanwhile, Russia claims to destroy 158 drones launched by Ukraine overnight. China and Philippines vessels collide again in disputed waters of the South China Sea. Blames each other for escalating tension. Third incident in 2 weeks. In a tug of war for upcoming US presidential polls, a series of criticism and commitments. Harris pulls up Trump over Arlington cemetery visit. Trump commits waiver for small amount of marijuana. Indian para-athletes to compete in medal events in shot put, high jump and archery in the ongoing Paris Paralympics 2024. Competitions to take place in badminton, shooting, rowing and athletics as well. The United Nations on Sunday started vaccinating children against polio in the Gaza Strip during daily 8-hour pauses in fighting between Israel and Hamas. Over 600,000 children will be covered under the campaign. The World Health Organization says that at least 90% of the children need to be vaccinated twice with 4 weeks between doses for the campaign to succeed. Last week, a baby was paralyzed by the type 2 polio virus, the first such case in the Gaza Strip in 25 years.
180 health workers and community outreach workers are ready and will support the campaign. The campaign will be delivered through 392 fixed points and almost 300 mobile teams. This is a massive operation. The security, of course, is paramount.
Israel has identified the bodies of 6 hostages discovered underground in the southern Gaza Strip. As per the US President Joe Biden on Saturday, the 6 bodies include that of Israeli-American hostage Hersh Goldberg-Polin. The remains of the hostages were recovered on Saturday from an underground tunnel in the Rafah area in the Gaza Strip and returned to Israel, where they were formally identified. The IDF also said that they were killed before being rescued. Indeed, India correspondent Amritpal Singh is joining us from New Delhi to give us more updates on this. Hello, Amritpal. Israel has identified bodies of 6 hostages discovered underground in the southern Gaza Strip, one believed to be of Israeli-American hostage. What's the entire matter?
These hostages were taken hostage on the 7th of October when the Hamas militants or terrorists broke out into the Israeli territory on the Israeli border and took a lot of people hostage. Many of them have been released, but some of them are still in the custody of Hamas. A ceasefire deal for the release of hostages and cessation of all hostilities is being negotiated, but the Israeli military, according to the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, 6 of these bodies were recovered last night in a tunnel. The spokesperson of the IDF says, as you said, had said that they were killed shortly before they could be rescued, because the Israeli forces are already on ground. The names of the bodies recovered are Kamel Gat, Adin Yerushalemi, Hersh Goldberg-Polin, who's said to be an American, just a 23-year-old. President Biden has already given a statement saying he's devastated. He was attending the festival when the Hamas terrorists barged in and took these people hostage. He, in fact, is quite a hero because he was trying to save his compatriots and friends, and he lost an arm during that before he was taken hostage. The other is Alexander Lohanov and Almang Samsi, Master Sergeant Ori Donino. So these are the names of the 6 bodies that have been found. The bodies, of course, have been brought into Israel from the Gaza Strip, and the American citizen's body, they are looking at transporting his body back to the United States. So that's what we know of that.
All right. Thank you so much, Amritpal, for your analysis. In a latest, Israeli media has confirmed the deaths of at least 2 Israelis after their vehicle was fired on near occupied West Bank. Ambulances were seen at West Bank, where a man and a woman in their 30s were killed in a terror attack near Turkumia in the West Bank on Sunday morning. An additional individual in his 50s was critically injured and has been transferred to the Soroka Medical Center. The Israel Defense Forces said that the terrorists had opened fire on a vehicle in the Turkumia area in the West Bank. Ukraine has launched drone attacks on oil refineries and power plants in Russia's Moscow and TVA regions. Russia has said that it shot down at least 158 drones launched by Ukraine. It added that the attacks have not disrupted electricity supplies. The Ukrainian attack came as Russia launched strikes on Kyiv region. Its targets included a gas station. Russia has made sweeping advances in recent days that threaten to outweigh the gains made by Ukraine in its cross-border attack into the Kursk region. Russian forces claim to be a few kilometers away from the Ukrainian city of Pokrovsk. Home to a key railway station and major roads, Pokrovsk is an essential supply and reinforcement point for Ukraine's troops on the eastern front line. The battle for Pokrovsk is a continuation of the conflict for Avdiivka, which Ukraine lost in February after months of fighting. Avdiivka, which is about 40 kilometers southeast of Pokrovsk, was seen as a fortress that protected the settlements and roads to its west, helping to bolster Ukraine's presence along the entire front line. Meanwhile, the progress of Ukraine's landmark cross-border offensive has slowed considerably in the past week. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky increased pressure on the United States to let Kyiv strike deeper into Russian territory after his representatives met senior US officials in Washington. He said that clearing the Ukrainian sky of Russian-guided aerial bombs would be a strong step to force Russia for just peace, appealing to the United States, Britain, France, and Germany. He said they need the capabilities to truly and fully protect Ukraine and the citizens of the country.
Clearing the Ukrainian sky of Russian-guided aerial bombs is a strong step to force Russia to seek an end to the war and just a peace. I appeal to the United States, the United Kingdom, France, and Germany. We need the capabilities to truly and fully protect Ukraine and Ukrainians. We need both the permissions of long-range capabilities and your long-range shells and missiles.
Tension seems to escalate between China and Philippines in disputed waters of the South China Sea. Both countries have accused each other of ramming Coast Guard vessels in a disputed area of the sea. The Philippines has claimed a Chinese ship directly and intentionally rammed into its vessel, while Beijing has accused the Philippines of deliberately crashing into a Chinese ship. Saturday's collision near the Sabina Shoal is the latest in long-running and escalating row between the two countries over various islands and zones in the South China Sea. Within the past 2 weeks, there have been at least 3 other incidents in the same area involving ships belonging to the two countries. The South China Sea is a major shipping route through which $3 trillion worth of trade passes through a year. Beijing claims almost all of the South China Sea, including parts claimed by Philippines, Brunei, Malaysia, Taiwan, and Vietnam. The United States on Saturday condemned dangerous and escalatory actions by China against what it called lawful Philippine maritime operations in South China Sea. U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said that a China Coast Guard vessel deliberately collided 3 times with a Philippine Coast Guard vessel exercising its freedom of navigation in the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, causing damage to the vessel and jeopardizing the safety of the crew on board. The statement said it was the latest in a series of dangerous escalatory actions by China in the area throughout August. Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense detected 10 PLA aircraft, 7 Chinese Navy vessels and 2 official ships operating around the nation up until 6 a.m. on Sunday. 6 of the 10 PLA aircraft detected crossed the median line of the Taiwan Strait. According to media reports, so far in August, Taiwan detected Chinese military aircraft 535 times and ships 289 times. Since September 2020, China has intensified its use of grey zone tactics by increasing the number of military aircraft and naval vessels operating near Taiwan. Grey zone tactics are considered an effort or series of efforts beyond steady state deterrence and assurance that attempts to achieve one's security objectives without resort to direct and sizable use of force. China has increased its military activities around Taiwan, including regular air and naval incursions into Taiwan's ADIZ and military exercises near the island. Earlier this week, Taiwan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs criticized China for violating other countries' sovereignty and disrupting regional peace. The Pacific Islands Forum removed references to Taiwan from a group communique after complaints from China, a change Taipei condemned as a rude intervention, but which a forum official said did not alter the leaders' decisions. The communique released on Friday from the 18-nation summit, including a section headed Relations with Taiwan and Republic of China. After an angry response from the Chinese envoy, the communique was removed from the forum's website that evening, and a new document was posted on Saturday morning with the references to Taiwan removed. China said that Taiwan is one of its provinces with no right to state relations, a position that democratically governed island strongly disputes. Food aid has started reaching conflict-torn Sudan. However, US has warned that the aid is still less than what is required. UN also called for an early negotiation between the warring parties in the African nation. United Nations has started delivering food aid on the ground in Sudan that is not only facing internal conflict between two armed forces but also facing floods. UN Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed, during her visit to Odra border crossing while calling for a resolution to the fighting in Sudan, said that food aid is reaching Sudan but said it was insufficient. She was visiting the border post in Chad to witness the passage of humanitarian convoy. A 2-month visa amnesty program has taken effect into the UAE starting Sunday. The initiative offers a crucial opportunity for individuals residing illegally in the country to regularize their status or depart without penalties. The program takes effect from September 1st. And under this program, individuals with expired visas of all types, including tourist and residency visas, can either adjust their status to continue living and work legally in the UAE or leave the country without incurring fines or facing entry bans. The initiative also extends to individuals born in the UAE without official documentation and those who have absconded from their sponsors. However, the amnesty does not apply to those who entered the country illegally. According to official records, the number of Indian residents in UAE is around 3.5 million. A Mexican district judge has issued a temporary ban on the lower house of Congress discussing a contentious judicial reform until September 4th. The reform, which suggests electing 7,000 judges by popular vote and restructuring the judiciary, faces criticism from unions who warn it could threaten labor rights and invite criminal influence. However, Morena's leader in the lower house, Ricardo Monreal, has dismissed the order, hinting at a possible conflict between the judiciary and lawmakers. Both President López Obrador and President-elect Claudia Sheinbaum backed the reform, claiming it is crucial for tackling corruption and impunity. The proposal has also sparked tensions between Mexico and the United States and Canada. While UNICEF announced an emergency tender to secure Mpox vaccines for countries in crisis, collaborating with the Gavi Vaccine Alliance, Africa Centers for Disease Control and World Health Organization. According to the joint statement issued by the organizations, the tender could result in agreements for up to 12 million doses by 2025, depending on manufacturers' production capacity. UNICEF will establish conditional supply agreements with vaccine makers to ensure swift procurement and distribution once financing, demand readiness and regulatory approvals are confirmed. This effort will also involve facilitating vaccine donations from high-income countries' stockpiles through partners, including the Pan American Health Organization. News and updates will continue. You stay tuned to DD India. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. US Vice President Kamala Harris on Saturday fiercely criticized former President Donald Trump for using his visit to Arlington National Cemetery as a political stunt. Harris condemned Trump's appearance, calling it a disrespectful act against the sacred ground. This critique followed Trump's participation in a wreath-laying ceremony and his visit to Section 60, a hallowed area restricted from political activities. Trump's campaign captured footage from the visit for promotional purposes, igniting controversy. Trump, addressing a Pennsylvania crowd on Friday, claimed that families of fallen soldiers from Afghanistan had requested his visit.
While I was there, those families that asked me to be there, as they said, 3 families plus 1 soldier who was horrifically injured, both legs and an arm. And they asked me if I would be there, so I went. And while we were there, they said, could you take pictures over the grave of my son, my sister, my brother? Would you take pictures with us, sir? I said, absolutely, I did. And then I said farewell. I said goodbye. And last night I read that I was using the site to politic, that I used it to politic. This all comes out of Washington.
Former US President Donald Trump on Saturday publicly endorsed constitutional amendment in Florida to legalize recreational cannabis. In a social media post, Trump declared that personal amounts of cannabis will be legalized for adults, asserting this change will happen whether people like it or not. As the Republican presidential nominee, Trump urged state lawmakers to draft laws prohibiting marijuana use in public areas to prevent the criminalization of individuals in states where cannabis is legal. He further commented that it is unnecessary to ruin lives and waste taxpayers' dollars arresting adults with personal amounts of it on them. Marijuana is legal in some form in nearly 40 states. Germans head to the polls this Sunday in 2 eastern states, with the far-right alternative Germany poised for a historic breakthrough. Polls indicate the AfD is leading in Thuringia with 30% support and is neck and neck with conservatives in Saxony. If victorious, the AfD would become the first far-right party to win a German state election since World War II. Despite this, the AfD is unlikely to secure a majority or form a state government as other parties refuse to collaborate. Over 700 people arrested during protests that erupted after Venezuela's disputed presidential election have been transferred to maximum security prisons. The leftist Maduro government, brushing off accusations of authoritarianism, has resisted intense international pressure to release vote tally numbers to back up its claim of victory. The United States, the European Union and several Latin American countries have refused to recognize Maduro as having won without seeing detailed voting results. The violence that accompanied the protests left 27 people dead and 192 injured. Meanwhile, electricity returned to Caracas and other parts of Venezuela after a blackout plunged much of the country into darkness on Friday. Venezuela's government blamed the massive blackout that crippled the South American country on an attack on the country's largest dam without providing additional details. Moving on to other stories, India's President Draupadi Murmu to attend the closing ceremony of National District Judiciary Conference in the national capital. The 2 days conference was inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday. In his speech, Prime Minister Modi highlighted the 75-year journey of the Supreme Court, bringing a sense of relief to the residents of Indian state of Gujarat. The India Meteorological Department has reported that Cyclone Asna, which was previously looming over the northeast Arabian Sea, has moved westwards and is now 310 kilometers west of Nalia in Gujarat. It is likely to continue moving away from the Indian coast over the next 24 hours. The Met Department also predicts of no heavy rainfall in the state in coming 5 days. Meanwhile, after days of continuous rainfall, Gujarat has seen a significant reduction in rain over the past 24 hours. The state has recently endured heavy rainfall over the past 4 days, resulting in over 30 deaths across Gujarat. The heavy rains have caused significant damage to infrastructure. In response to the floods, rescue operations have been carried out by the Army, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard and local police in the state. While heavy rain battered the South Indian state of Andhra Pradesh, unrelenting and continuous downpour triggered by a low-pressure system in the Bay of Bengal has disrupted normal life in coastal districts of Andhra Pradesh, particularly in Vijayawada. The Chief Minister spoke to officials about relief measures and assured that the government would stand by the families of the deceased. The government announced a compensation of ₹5 lakh each to the affected families. The India Meteorological Department also issued warnings of significant weather disturbances on Sunday in Hyderabad and other parts of Telangana. The Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation also issued an advisory urging residents to exercise extreme caution to ensure their safety and well-being. India's Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav conducted an inspection of Vande Bharat Express train sleeper coach on Sunday. The inspection was conducted at Bharat Earth Movers Limited, railway transportation company in Bengaluru city. Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav said that the passenger operation of Vande Bharat sleeper coach is expected in 3 months.
We should expect passenger operation in about 3 months from now. About 3 months from now we should expect. This is a sleeper version. This is completely sleeper like Rajdhani, fully sleeper version. This will be practically an overnight journey. So this will be good for distances which are about 800 kilometers to 1200 kilometers. Lots of care has been taken in maintaining the oxygen level in the coaches. Lots of care has been taken in maintaining the removing the viruses which come, because we have learnt during the COVID period. So learning on all that, lots of virus prevention features are there.
With a view to connect northeastern parts of India to other cities of the country, an Air India Express has begun its flight from Tripura's capital Agartala on Sunday. The daily flights from Agartala's Maharaja Bir Bikram Airport has started for national capital Delhi on Sunday morning. This will reach Delhi via Guwahati, another northeastern city and capital of Assam. Apart from connecting to Delhi on daily basis, the Air India Express also started flight to Kolkata, East India's largest city and one of the biggest metropolis of India. Indigo, Air India and Akasa Airlines are already running their services from Agartala. Let's take a look at all updates from Paralympics. Indian Paralympians Avni Lekra and Preeti Pal are poised to secure their second medals at the 2024 Paris Paralympics on Sunday. Lekra will partner with Siddharth Banu in the mixed 10-meter air rifle prone SH1 event, showcasing their precision and skill in shooting. Meanwhile, Pal returns to the Stade de France track to compete in the women's 200-meter T35 race, aiming to add another accolade to her Paralympic achievements. In men's badminton singles, India's Sukant Kadam will battle compatriot Suhas Yathiraj in the semi-finals of SL4 category. Regardless of the match outcome, India is guaranteed a medal in this event. Additionally, Nitesh Kumar will compete in the semi-final of the men's badminton singles SL3 category with aim to contribute to India's medal tally at the Paralympic Games. India's Rubina Francis held her nerves to win bronze in the women's 10-meter air pistol SH1 event on Saturday. Rubina secured the bronze by shooting 211.1 at the ongoing Paralympic Games in France. The 25-year-old shooter remained in the top 4 for the majority of the event, finishing in the podium spots. The Indian shooter even reached the top 2 spots in the 19th and 20th shots, but could not manage to hold on to the position. She finished with 211.1 points behind Iran's Sarah and Turkey's Aysel Ozgen. Rubina makes it India's 5th medal at the 2024 edition of the Paralympic Games. This is also India's 4th medal from the shooting contingent as well. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.